Welcome, everyone. Ready to deep dive into online learning? Seems like it's everywhere these days, but is it really all it's cracked up to be?
Well, it's certainly a major force in education today. It's really interesting to see how much it's grown. What started as kind of a niche thing has become, well, a lot of people think it's just as good as traditional learning, maybe even better.
Okay, so let's unpack that a bit. Why is it so popular? I think the flexibility has got to be a big part of it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, being able to study whenever you want, wherever you want, huge. It really lets people fit learning into their lives, not the other way around.
Right, like squeezing in a course between meetings or even on vacation.
Yeah,
Work, life, and learning all mixed up together.
exactly. And that actually leads to something really interesting: accessibility. Online learning isn't just about fitting learning into a busy schedule. It's about opening up education to people who might not have had access before. Think about it.
I see what you mean. People who can't just pick up and move to go to a certain school.
Right. Or maybe someone's juggling a job and family.
Or a traditional classroom just isn't an option for them, for whatever reason.
Exactly. Like, imagine someone in a rural community finally being able to take courses from a top university, without having to uproot their entire life. Or a single parent working full time who can finally pursue that degree they've always wanted in the evenings, without having to sacrifice their job. Online learning is making things possible that just weren't before.
It really is powerful when you think about it that way. And then there's the cost factor too. We all know how expensive education can be.
Yeah, no kidding. But online learning can often be significantly more affordable. Think about it. No commuting costs, no campus housing, maybe even some savings on textbooks. Plus, a lot of online programs have flexible payment options too, which can make it even more manageable.
So not only are you saving money up front, but you're potentially boosting your earning power down the line.
Exactly. It's an investment in your future. And you know what else? You pick up some pretty valuable digital skills along the way too. You learn how to use different online platforms, video conferencing tools, research techniques, all that stuff.
It's like a built-in bonus.
Yeah.
Makes you even more attractive to potential employers.
Absolutely. Employers see those skills and think. Self-motivated, adaptable, tech-savvy, those are the qualities everyone's looking for these days.
Yeah, the world's changing so fast, gotta keep up. But let's be real, it's not all perfect, right? One of the big things I hear people worry about is the isolation factor.
Yeah, that's a valid concern for sure. You're not physically in a classroom, so you don't have that built-in social interaction. It takes a lot of self-discipline to stay focused and motivated when you're learning mostly on your own.
And we can't forget about the tech headaches, right?
Tell me about it. A bad internet connection or a computer crash can really throw a wrench in things.
It's the worst. And then there's the whole question of, well, how legitimate are online degrees?
Yeah, I mean, that perception is definitely changing, but it's still something to consider, especially in certain industries. Some employers might still be a little skeptical about it,
Like they're not sure the quality is the same.
Yeah, maybe. But I think more and more employers are starting to see the value that online learners bring to the table, those unique skills and experiences you were talking about.
Right, that adaptability. It's not a one-size-fits-all thing, though, is it? Someone considering online learning really needs to think about their learning style.
Absolutely. It's all about figuring out if it truly aligns with your needs and goals. If a fully online program doesn't seem like the right fit, there's always hybrid options.
Oh yeah, the best of both worlds. You get the flexibility of online learning and the in-person connection.
Exactly. And that brings us to a really key point: active learning. It's not enough to just passively watch videos or read articles online.
Got to stay engaged.
Yes. Take notes, participate in discussions, really apply what you're learning.
Make it your own.
Exactly. Be proactive, seek out resources, and find ways to connect the material to your own life and goals. And that takes self-discipline, time management, and effort.
No shortcuts, huh?
Nope. It's not like knowledge just magically downloads into your brain. You got to work for it.
It's true. But you know what? It's kind of like being the CEO of your own learning journey.
I like that. You set the goals, you manage your time, and ultimately you're responsible for the outcome.
Exactly. But even the best CEOs have a team to support them, right? What about online instructors?
Oh, they're crucial. They're not just there to deliver the content. They create a supportive virtual environment, answer questions, provide feedback. They really guide students through the material.
So even though it's online, there's still that human connection.
Absolutely. A good online instructor can make all the difference.
So we've talked about the flexibility, the accessibility, the potential cost savings, the risk of isolation, the need for active learning. We've touched on the changing perceptions of online degrees and the importance of those online instructors. What else is there?
Well, I think it's worth diving a little deeper into how those perceptions of online degrees are changing. We're seeing a real shift. People are starting to understand that online degrees can represent something really valuable.
Yeah, tell me more about that. What's changing and why?
Well, I think people are recognizing that online degrees often show a real commitment to lifelong learning, that adaptability we talked about, and those tech skills. All things that are in high demand these days, employers are starting to get it.
So it's not just about the degree itself. It's about what it represents.
Right. It's about the whole package, the knowledge, the skills, the mindset.
Okay, let's pause there for a second. We'll be right back to keep exploring the world of online learning and what it all means for the future of education.
And we're back, still deep in the world of online learning. Before the break, we were talking about how employers are really starting to see the value of those online degrees and the skills people gain.
Makes you think, if the whole perception of online degrees is changing so much, what does that mean for the future of education in general? I mean, is online learning just going to take over traditional schools completely?
That's the big question, isn't it? I don't have a crystal ball, unfortunately, but I think what's really fascinating is how online learning is forcing us to reimagine what education even is. It's not just about where you learn online versus in person. It's about how we learn, how we make it accessible to everyone, how we personalize the whole experience. What do learners actually need to succeed?
Okay, I'm with you. So if we're talking about reimagining education, what role does technology play in all this? I mean, we wouldn't even be having this conversation without technology, right?
Exactly. Technology is the driving force behind this whole transformation. And the stuff we're seeing now, it's mind-blowing. Virtual reality, augmented reality, artificial intelligence, all these things are shaping the future of online learning in ways we could never have imagined just a few years ago.
Okay, well, hold on. Let's break that down a bit. Give me some examples. How are those things actually being used in online classrooms right now? It sounds so futuristic.
Oh, it's happening. For example, virtual reality can create some incredibly immersive learning experiences. Imagine taking a virtual field trip to ancient Rome, or dissecting a human heart in 3D without, ever actually picking up a scalpel.
Okay, that's pretty amazing. Like stepping into a video game, but you're learning at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's augmented reality, which can overlay information onto the real world. So you could be reading a textbook and then boom, 3D models pop up right on the page. Or videos, or interactive quizzes.
That's so cool, like textbooks coming to life.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got VR and AR creating these really cool visual experiences. But what about AI? Where does artificial intelligence fit in?
AI is huge. I mean, it's working behind the scenes, making sure things are personalized and giving feedback in real time. Imagine having a tutor that can actually adapt to your learning style, track your progress, make recommendations just for you, and, just be there to help, all the time.
It's like having a personal learning assistant. That's got to be a huge help for people who need a little extra support.
Totally. And AI can also be used to create intelligent tutoring systems that actually analyze all the student data and figure out where people are struggling. It can even come up with ways to help, like a learning detective.
That's incredible. And I bet it could be a huge help for teachers too, right? Free up some of their time so they can focus on other things.
Oh, absolutely. Teachers could spend less time on things like grading and scheduling and more time, actually mentoring students and creating those really engaging learning experiences. AI can handle a lot of that other stuff.
Okay, so VR, AR, AI, anything else on the horizon? What other big tech trends are shaping online learning?
One thing I'm really excited about is this whole rise of gamification, game-based learning. It turns out that games can be a really effective way to learn.
I love that. Sneak in some learning while you're having fun.
Right. They tap into that natural desire for challenge and reward. Plus, they can be really social, which is important too. We're not just talking about simple games here. We're talking about sophisticated game-based learning platforms that use storytelling and quests and rewards, all kinds of things to keep people motivated and help them learn some pretty complex stuff.
So it's not just about having fun, it's about actually learning something valuable while you're playing.
Yes. And I think game-based learning is going to be huge in the future of online education. We're really just getting started.
It's pretty amazing to think about all the possibilities, but at the end of the day, technology is just a tool, right? It's all about how we use it.
So true. We can have the best technology in the world, but if we're not using it the right way, it's not going to do any good. We have to make sure that online learning is accessible to everyone, for example, no matter what their abilities or disabilities are.
I'm glad you brought up accessibility. It's so important. We don't want technology to create even more barriers to education.
Exactly. And the good news is that there are a lot of really smart people working on this. We're seeing a lot of really cool tools and techniques to make online learning more accessible to everyone. Things like screen readers, captioning software, customizable interfaces, all kinds of things.
That's encouraging. It's about creating an environment where everyone can succeed, regardless of their individual needs.
Right. Technology should empower learners, not exclude them. And I think we're making progress.
Okay, so we've talked about a lot of things today. The changing perceptions of online degrees, all that amazing potential of VR and AR and AI, the whole world of game-based learning, and the importance of accessibility. But before we get too carried away with all the future tech, let's go back to something we talked about earlier. The human element.
Ah, yes. It's so important. In all this talk about technology, it's easy to forget that learning is really a human thing. It's about connecting with ideas, with mentors, with other people who love to learn.
So how do we do that? How do we build those connections in the online world when we're not physically together?
That's the challenge. But there are ways. We can use things like live video chats, virtual study groups, online forums, even collaborative projects. All these things help us connect with each other and learn from each other.
Like building a virtual campfire, even though we're miles apart.
I love that. And it's not just about connecting with other learners. It's about connecting with your instructors too. Those are the people who can guide you and support you and mentor you.
They're like the wise elders of the online learning tribe.
Huh, I like that. And it's those human connections that make online learning really special. That's when it becomes transformative, not just informative.
That's a perfect place to pause. When we come back, we'll explore what all of this means for the future of education and what we can expect to see in the years to come. Welcome back. We've explored the trends, the tech, the human side of online learning. But now, what about the future? What's next?
That's the million-dollar question, right? The exciting part is we're really just getting started. The future of online learning, it's wide open. Honestly, it's changing faster than we can even imagine.
Okay, well, let's try to imagine it. What are some future scenarios that you think could actually happen? Or maybe even some that are a little mind-blowing?
Well, one thing that seems more and more likely is this idea of personalized learning pathways. Imagine education being tailored to each person's needs, interests, and goals, like algorithms figuring out your learning style, your career dreams, even your personality, all to create a custom curriculum just for you.
Whoa, that's like something out of a sci-fi movie. But it kind of makes sense. We all learn in different ways, right? Why shouldn't our education be different too?
Exactly. And AI and machine learning are getting so advanced, this kind of hyper-personalization could become the norm. It could totally change how we think about education, moving away from that one-size-fits-all model.
It's like having a personal trainer for your brain. Okay, what other future scenarios are you picturing?
Another big thing is the line between formal and informal learning is going to get blurrier and blurrier. Right now, we think of education as something that happens in school, right?
Yeah.
But what if learning just became part of everyday life? You learn at work, through your social interactions, even through entertainment.
Like the whole world becomes your classroom.
Exactly. And technology is making that happen. We have so much information and learning at our fingertips all the time. What if learning was built into our work platforms, our social media feeds, even video games?
Wow, constantly leveling up in real life.
Exactly. And as this blend of formal and informal learning keeps going, it's going to challenge how we think about credentials. It won't just be about degrees anymore. It'll be about showing what you know and what you can do in all sorts of ways.
It's not just what you know, it's how you show it.
Right. And I think this is going to open up so many opportunities for lifelong learning and career growth. People can really take charge of their own learning journey.
So we've got hyper-personalized learning and this blurring of formal and informal learning. Any other wild ideas?
Well, this one might be a little unsettling for some people. What about virtual instructors or AI tutors actually replacing human teachers in some cases?
Okay, now that sounds like we're really getting into sci-fi territory. But I can see how it could happen. AI is already being used for a lot of things in education.
Yeah, I know, right? And listen, I don't think AI will ever fully replace human teachers, especially not when it comes to things like mentorship and the social emotional side of learning. But AI could definitely change the role of teachers. They might become more like facilitators or mentors, guiding learners through this complex world of online learning.
So it's not about AI versus humans, it's AI and humans working together.
Yes. And as AI keeps developing, we're going to have to ask some tough questions about education, about the role of teachers, even about what it means to be human in a world with such smart machines.
Deep thoughts. It sounds like the future of online learning is going to be full of challenges, but also a lot of opportunities. So much to think about. But before we go too far down that road, what's the one big thing you want our listeners to take away from all this?
I think the main thing is to remember, online learning isn't just a fad. It's a fundamental shift. It's changing how we learn, how we work, how we think about education itself. And it's up to all of us to shape what that future looks like.
That's a powerful message. And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up our deep dive into the world of online learning. I hope this has given you some things to think about and maybe even got you excited about the possibilities ahead.
Me too. Thanks for being here with us today.
And to all our listeners, keep learning, keep exploring, and keep asking those big questions. That's what it's all about.